Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Light the Torch, You Will Be the Death of Me, out June 25th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 12 tracks, 43 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. They are an American metalcore band. Now the structure of this record is really tight. There's a sense of togetherness, it's very cohesive, there's no peaks, there's no valleys, it's a very linear record all around. It's an album that offers a sense of similarity from song to song, and because of that the tracks start to blend one with the other and allowing this record to really feel as one. Now the problem with that is that you start to lose yourself a little bit within it. It becomes harder for you as the listener to really tell the trees from the forest. Everything just kind of becomes one, and there's no jolts of energy within the record. I really hoped that they had included a few songs scattered throughout this album that really changed the eyesight of the listener. They give you something different, something that you didn't hear before, something that perhaps you wouldn't hear after, and this would allow you to keep coming back for more, and it would allow the listener to keep staying connected with the album, because it would give you a sense of change, it would give you a sense of something different to digest, a different perception, if you will. And that to me is something that is important throughout a listening experience of an album. You want the record to feel as one, but at the same time you want some songs to kind of change your perception of it so that you get reattached to it and you get reignited with the overall listening experience. This album doesn't have that. For example, a song like Sign Your Name, which is a cover, comes all the way at the end, and I understand the fact that you want to put that cover at the end of the record because it almost feels like a bonus track, but this song is so outside the box, is so different from everything else that's happening on the record. Having this one smack in the middle of the album would create such a nice break, and it would make the second half of the record feel a lot stronger, a lot more powerful, a lot more direct. Now, once you get into the soundscape of the record, I was not a huge fan of the overuse of the keyboards. It sure gives a lot of melody to the record and allows the songs to kind of blend one into the other and gives you a sense of uniformity throughout the whole record. And I understand that desire to have a very melodic approach and using the keyboards to create that melody or to enhance the melody that you're already getting from the guitars. But to me there was a little bit too much of it, because it took some strength and it took some power away from the other elements, and it kind of dulled the sound ever so slightly. It kind of allowed the record to feel a little bit flat and not have those jolts of energy like I was mentioning before. When you look at the drums, for example, I wanted the drums to be a little bit more punchy, to ground the record, to give a sense of substance, to add depth to the sound. And I felt more often than not that they were there, but they didn't have all the strength and all the power and all the intensity that they could have had. So they felt a little bit flat at times. There's a few songs when they come into the forefront and you can tell the difference immediately, because the songs become heavier, more driven, more powerful, more intense, with a little bit more aggression. So I would have liked to see that used a little bit more frequently, because it would allow the overall sound experience to be one that becomes a little bit more balanced. On the guitar side, I like the sound, I like the drive. The only thing I wanted was the solos to be a little bit longer, a little bit more elaborate. They felt always very short. They were amazing. They started off, they changed your eyesight, they changed your perception of the song. Like, this solo is incredible, and by the time you start to get into the solo is finished. So I would have liked to see that expanded a little bit more, because the overall guitar work was really outstanding on this album, and it's definitely one of the highlights of the record. But the solos needed to be a little bit better crafted, a little bit longer, a little bit more elaborate, and not just adding a little bit of a couple of licks together, making into a solo, and just having a sense that it's just too short and not really giving the song what it needed. On the other hand, you have the vocals of Howard. I mean, what is there to say? This guy could sing a grocery list and it would sound absolutely amazing. It's no different on this album. He is definitely one of the highlights, the main highlight of this record, and he's the main reason why this album is not just mundane, because it's impossible to have him on vocals on any single record and that album would not be mundane. He just changes your perception. He just changes the quality of the overall product. I love his vocals, I love his delivery, I love his tone. I would have liked to see a little bit more aggression coming out of him. I would like to see a little bit more intensity, and I would like to see a little bit less of the layers that they use throughout the record in order to give volume to his voice. I don't think it needs it. I think it's nice in a song here and a song there, but when you start to feel a sense of repetitiveness across almost every single song, it kind of takes away the impact that approach really gives to a track. Overall, this album lacks a little bit of direction. It lacks a little bit of energy. It feels like it's not driven. It's not definitely not emotionally driven, but musically is also not driven. So it feels a little bit vanilla from that perspective. It's a record like it's there, it's good, it's not great, it's not outstanding, but it has some good songs. It just doesn't move the needle one way or another. It just stands there right in the middle. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Denying the Sin. One of the heaviest tracks on this album. I really like it musically and vocally. It's a great song. It brings some intensity to the forefront. It brings some energy to the record. A track that feels like it's bubbling, like it feels like it's going somewhere, like it finally you're getting a song. This is one of the heaviest songs on the record that has some direction, that has some purpose to it. Vocally, it's very strong and it gives you a lot of different looks. It gives you a lot of different feels. So there's a lot for you to digest from that perception or from that perspective. When you get to the chorus has a little bit more substance. It feels like it punches through a little bit better. The drums also have a little bit more power. So that's why you see this song feeling a little bit heavier overall. And I like that sense of it because it really feels a little bit more together. It feels like it becomes a little bit more complete and therefore becomes a standout track, at least in my view. Next, come back to the Quicksand, another song that felt like it was actually going somewhere. Felt like it had a little bit more energy, felt a little bit more emotional, not just from a lyrical perspective, but also from a vocal approach. It just felt a little bit coming from a deeper place from within, and I like that. It allows the song to feel a little bit better. It has a lot of melancholy in it. It is definitely driven by this melancholy nature that it has. You see it in the verses, you see it in the chorus, perhaps a little bit more in the verses. The chorus is a little bit bigger, it has a little bit more volume, it's a little bit more explosive, if you will. The bass line that sets up the solo is magnificent. I really like that setup. I like that bass line, and then going into the solo, the problem was the solo felt a little bit too short. It could have gone a little bit longer in order to really break the two apart and in order to make this song feel a little bit bigger. But overall, I really like this track. Last but not least, Sign Your Name, the cover right at the end. I mean, what a cover this is. This came out of left field. This was the only song on the album that when I was listening to it, my ears perked up. Like I stopped doing whatever it was that I was doing and I paid attention to this song. This track really had that energy. It was out of the box, was different. I was not expecting this cover, so I was completely caught by surprise. And this is a song that was made for Howard's voice. Incredible. What a performance. What a vocal performance. But what an absolute incredible cover. One of the biggest covers of the year. I mean, this is an outstanding song. The original is incredible, but what Howard and Light the Torch did with this song is just magnificent. Like I said, this feels like a song that was made for him, for this band. Just phenomenal cover. What a way to end the album. And like I said, I waited until the end to be blown away by this record, by a track on this record. This is it. This is Light the Torch with You Will Be the Death of Me, out June 25th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.